Hello and welcome to this After Effects certification preparation series of videos. I'm Luisa Winters. In this video, I want to talk about Objective 3.2a, which is to adjust a layer's visibility. We're going to talk about hiding and showing layers, soloing a layer, shying a layer. We're also going to talk about blending modes and opacity. And I get it, we have talked about this in previous movies, but this time we're going to properly cover it. All right, let's get to it. In After Effects, let's go ahead and create a new composition. Control N, Command N, and I'll name it Visibility. You can name it anything you want. I'm going to leave the defaults in here because it doesn't really matter. And I'm just going to add some, say 3 video files in here, these 3 files. All right, and it doesn't matter the length or anything like that. It doesn't matter right now. So the first thing is hiding the layer. So we already talked about this eyeball, right? If you click on the eyeball for the layer, you can make it visible and invisible. You can also make the layer shy. In other words, if I want to see it here in the comp panel, but not in the timeline, I can make it shy. So remember, this is a switch that you turn on here at the layer level and also at the composition level. See it? Right now, this layer has disappeared from the timeline, but it's still visible here. So, we can show them all. I'm going to make them all a little bit smaller, and I'll just move them like yay, so you can see this a little bit better. And I'll make them shy again. Boom. So it disappears from the timeline. Now I have no layers in the timeline, but they're still visible in the comp panel. Remember, this is how most templates ship. Most templates that you buy from any company are going to have a ton of hidden layers or shy layers in this fashion. So if you want to modify them, hey, just click here, boom, you see them, you can unshy them, and voila, you got it. So another thing that we can change is blending modes. And blending modes is simply how one layer interacts or blends with the layers under it. So this is from the top down. So if I create a solid, which is Control Y on Windows, Command Y on the Mac, and then I make this, I don't know, kind of like beige, yellowish, a little bit darker, maybe like that. I can now change the blending mode of that layer, and I can change the appearance of my clips. Dissolve, dance in dissolve, that is not doing anything, but see it? Darken, multiply. And, we can keep on clicking like that, but in reality, we don't have to. This shortcut works in Photoshop as well. Shift, and then the plus sign on your main keyboard, and just go through all of the blending modes until you find one that you like. One of the things that I really like doing is having a black solid, and I will add to that a lens flare. So Effect, Generate, Lens Flare. I'm going to center the flare to here, and I'm going to reduce its brightness to about yay. And I get it, it's not perfectly centered, but that's okay. I can now keyframe the position of this to, to whatever, right? So I can go start it here, then go here, then go here, and then go there. And I forgot it's defaulting to linear. So actually, let me address that. Edit, Preferences, General. And once these preferences open up, it defaults the spatial interpolation to linear. I don't want that. I want it to default to Bezier. So in other words, with curves. So I'm going to start here again, and I'm going to move here, and I'm going to move it here. Oh, it's not giving me curves. Okay, fine. I'll create the curves myself. And there you go. All right, so I'm just going to create my curves that way. because I really like it a little bit curvier. Right, and this is what I have. And instead of animating the flare center, this gives me a different animation. But you can say, hey, but Luisa, come on now. You have a black layer that is just covering everything. Change the blending mode to screen. And that disappears. And all you're left with is a lens flare that you can animate however you want. This is a different kind of lens flare animation that if I animated the flare center. All right, so don't forget that, blending modes. And there are many other things that you can have. For example, I'm going to keep just one of them, and I'm going to reset the scale. And in fact, I'm going to reset all of the transform properties, right? I'm going to duplicate that layer, Control or Command D, and now I'm going to change the blending mode of the top one. See it? Let me make this a little bit bigger. That one is multiply. I can keep on going. And it's just giving me a different characteristics of the video. So once you get used to it, I mean, it starts becoming really, really, really cool. So, you know, I really like it with multiply. All right, it just gives it a little bit more oomph, if you will. It's hard to describe. It's like more contrasting, more saturated. So, all right, so blending modes. If you don't see the blending modes, don't forget to click on toggle switches and modes. If you don't see it still, right-click the column header, go to columns, and make sure that you go to modes. Alrighty, let's talk about opacity. Opacity. So I'm just going to have one layer here, and I'm going to just go over opacity. So T for opacity, that's the shortcut. And the reason it's the letter T is because opacity used to be called transparency. So T. Notice how I can make this visible and invisible. All right, so I can change the opacity of my layer over time by keyframing, or simply just having this layer, say, be semi-transparent, and I can put, you know, another one underneath, and then you get that ghostly effect. I mean, if that's what you want, right? I don't want that, so, all right. So opacity can be keyframed. We're going to talk about keyframe in another movie. So opacity, blending modes, you can make the layer shy, you can show it or not show it by clicking on the eyeball. So different ways of playing with the opacity of your layer. All right, about the last thing I want to talk about is solo. And we talked about this, but I want to make sure that we cover it. I want to make really sure that we cover this. So I'm going to go and open from my compositions, the footage, you know, the same composition that we've been working with. If I want to see only the star, I don't want to see any of the other layers, I can click on this here and it hides all of the other layers and it shows me only the star. I can solo more than one layer. I can say, hey, you know what? I want to show the star and the text. And there you have it. I can now soloing two of them. As soon as I click on those, click them off, then I see all of the other layers. All right. Okay, so I think this takes me to the end of this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.